Hello, my name's Sue Lewis and I'm going to run you through this presentation, which is a recording of a webinar that we offered to parents in November 23, and the webinar title was "What are the post-16 options for my child?" So to get us going on that, I think it's really useful to think about what the future looks like for our young people. So careers in the past were more of a sort of linear approach where you might start on one step and progress up through the steps, and if you're lucky enough you might end up on the top step. But now careers are more what we call squiggly careers, because we don't quite know what's going to happen with careers in the future. You heard about artificial intelligence, and there's lots of other changes that are happening too. So it's really important that young people develop the skills to be able to change and be flexible in their future careers. So where the job's going to be in the future? Well, in all sorts of areas, we won't know for sure, but these four sectors will grow in the next few years: medical, health, science and care, engineering, construction, digital and IT, and of course environmental and green. So what we're going to do is run you through Careerpilot and show you where all the information we're going to talk about in relation to choices for Year 11 students will be. So after watching this recording, you can have a look at Careerpilot and explore particular things that might be particularly useful to your young person. So Careerpilot is a one-stop careers website. This is free for students and parents to use. A lot of your young people are probably using it through school, but you could go online with them too and explore things together. You can use it in school but also outside of school. And when the students register, they own their account until they're 20, so they can be using it to support them through many career decisions in the future. So just to show you around the site, these are our popular tools, information about lots of jobs, loads of job profiles with details about how to get into them, search for courses, apprenticeship vacancies, local providers, qualification ladders, you can see where you are and what you could do next, and over 1,000 videos in the site, all linked into jobs and qualifications. So there's lots of interesting things to look at. Now what we're trying to do with Careerpilot is just to help students learn how to make a good career decision. And what we have is our 3-stage process. This is a classic decision-making process. Start with yourself. What are your motivations and interests? Explore all your options in some detail and plan your next steps. And what you'll see is a lot of our stuff on Careerpilot is under those 3 stages. But a young person might already have an idea about what they want to do, so they could go straight into a particular qualification pathway and look at that in more detail. Now, in the southwest or the southeast, wherever you might be watching this from, Careerpilot is completely free for schools to use because it's funded through universities and career hubs. And that means you can get your young person registered. So usually they will have done this through school. You can always ask them that question: have you registered on Careerpilot? If they say no, you can register that at home and they can pop themselves in their school, and they'll be there for the school to view as well as for you to use at home. So registration just happens straight onto the site, just in the top right corner. And the advantage of registering and being signed in when you're using the site is then the young person can access all our career tools. So they can be building their careers report, but also this is quick links back to anything they're interested in, like my jobs I like or values that are important to me. To explain to students how they can become managers of their own careers, there's a nice little video. It only takes 3 minutes, it's animated, and it just shows them the key things they can be doing right now to explore their careers. Knowing themselves, doing stuff, knowing all their options, and using your supporters. And I'm going to show you where you could direct your young person to on Careerpilot to help them to go through this process. So knowing themselves, there's a whole section called Start With You. And in that section, lots of activities help the students think about what motivates them and what is interesting to them. Because there's lots of evidence to show if you can link your future career with what you're passionate about, then you'll be happier, more motivated, more successful. I'm going to show you a few of these in a minute. So, for example, we have a job sector quiz there. So there's 50 pictures of things you might like to do in a work situation. Click on as many as you want to, and then we'll give you information about what sectors, job sectors, you could look at further. So we don't give jobs because jobs are changing quite a lot, but we will say this sector would seem to give you some of those opportunities. Why not have a look? And there'll be loads of jobs there, so your young person can kind of like look at other things they've never even thought of before, as well as the things they may be already considering. They could start with a subject they love. So often students do have one or two subjects they really, really like, and then they can click on that subject and they get ideas of jobs, apprenticeships, college courses and degree courses as well, just giving them a flavour of where that subject could lead. So that's again starting with their own passions and interests. They could do the same for a value, so something that's important to them, like I want to be creative in my working life, I want to protect nature, and then they could see, if they clicked on I want to be creative, again lists of jobs and some information about how you can actually promote that particular interest when you're thinking of applying and getting into the work situation. There's also a skills map, so often young people need to know what skills they've got so they can talk about them on applications or at interviews, but often they're not really sure about how to identify their own skills. So in the skills profile, what we do is ask them what they've done in their life or their learning. If they're post 16, we'll ask about jobs, so they can answer questions like I've kept going with a hobby or sport out of school. Well, in that case, you've probably been using skills like resilience and staying positive and being flexible. And then all those skills are put into the skills bank. In this example, this student has got 5 examples of their teamwork from the things they've answered in the quiz. But they can also add their own ideas as well. So anything they do, babysitting, being in a team, doing a work experience, it could be in or out of school, then they could put those ideas in too. So everything will be banked. They can also compare their skills with a job, so they could put in the name of a job, nurse, doctor, plumber, and then on the pink bit they'll see the skills that job requires, and they see their own skills alongside there. So they can begin to see, I've got some of that, maybe I need to get a bit of the other thing as well. And when they come to apply, they can use all that information and give them, a summary of what they've got, the skills they've already identified, so they've got some examples. So in terms of doing stuff, obviously, if you're in year 11, you really have to focus on your GCSEs and your BTECs, but you might also be doing other things. You might be doing some work experience or volunteering, or you might be teaching yourself something online, or you might be involved in a new hobby. And our advice always is to keep hold of those, don't drop them. Try to keep them going alongside your GCSEs and BTECs, because they're really good for helping you sell yourself on your CV. Then knowing all your options, this is what we're going to focus on mainly tonight. So I'm just going to show you where that information will be on Careerpilot. So we've got a whole section called Explore Your Options, and in this that you can do that in a range of ways, like what are my choices 16, and then you'll see the pathways, and then you could drill down. You could also look through jobs or courses, look for apprenticeship vacancies and various other ways as well. So if you did click on choices 16, then this would pop up. So this is going to be where a lot of the stuff I'm talking about tonight, if you want to get a reminder of that, you can go into choices 16 and pick on a pathway, and then you'll see information and advice. The jobs part of our site is another great way to explore, and this is the most popular part of our site, in fact. So you can put in the name of a job, or you can search by sector, or you can search by green jobs and various other ways as well. So sectors, you can drill down into animal, agriculture and environment, which bit of that you're particularly interested in. You could put in a search for a particular keyword like animal, see all our animal job profiles. So each one of this is a tile, and if you clicked on it, you're going to get a whole load of information about that job, including is it going to grow, how much might I earn, how long do I have to work, but lots of information about routes into this job. And this is really useful for parents, because it will say what sort of routes there are. Is an apprenticeship route? Do you have to do a degree? And it'll name the apprenticeships you could be thinking of looking for, or the name of a degree you could explore as well. It's also got some data, like how many people are currently working in this job by region, and a live job vacancy search as well. So that was a quick whiz through the site, just to say that if the students are registered and then they signed in, they'll be able to add all their choices to the career tools, and then they can look at that in 2 different ways. They can look at a dashboard, which is a summary of all the career tools that they've been tagging, but they can also see a full report, which is quite a long report, and they could download it and share it with you. So there's lots of ways for them to collect this information, but also to share it too. So that was a whiz through Careerpilot, because really that's where a lot of this information I'm now going to talk about will be. So at least you know where it is. But what I'm going to do now is drill down to the detail about the options the young people have at the end of year 11. So let's start with what your child needs to consider when they're making that decision about what to do. They do need to think about what they're good at, and you could help them to do that. But also, obviously, they need to think about what grades they're likely to get, specifically in maths and English. You now need to have a grade 4 or above in maths and English, otherwise you have to keep repeating it and resitting it. So if you can get it out of the way in the school environment, then that's great. Don't worry if you can't, because if you go to a college, they will give you an opportunity to do maths and English resets and do some revision work through the college environment, and certainly some sixth forms offer that as well. So what do they enjoy? What subjects are they doing already? What do they particularly like? Do they like the idea of doing a job-related subject? So that might be something related to like construction, childcare. How do they like to learn? Are they quite academic? Do they want to be doing exams? Do they want to get into the depth of a subject, which is probably like A-levels? Or do they like to learn by doing? And how do they want to be assessed? Do they like exams, or would they prefer coursework? It is always worth bearing in mind that some careers like medicine or veterinary do require a specific qualification. So that's the only route you can take into certain things. So do check that out, and Careerpilot is a really good place to do that. They could start with a subject they like, and they could do it at A-level, they could do it at degree level, and then think about a job later. Lots of people do that. And bear in mind that lots of employers really like people with a degree, irrespective of the subject, so they're often employer opportunities. There are lots of ways of getting to the same future job. Some are more restrictive, but in the main, there will be more than one route to get to a particular job. So what I'm showing you here is the qualification ladder we have in England. So basically, there are 3 pathways. The academic, we probably know most about that, A-levels, for example. Vocational, and vocational means doing a course related to a job. So it might not be training you to do a specific job, but it might be something like health and social care or business. And work-based is when you are being trained to do a job in the workplace. In this country, we have different levels of qualification. In fact, they go up to level 8, which is a doctorate. But where the students are in year 11 is looking to get their GCSEs. So if they get GCSEs at grade 1 to 3, they'll have a level 1 qualification, and then they could be thinking about what they want to do at level 2. So it might be they want to go into the vocational pathway, doing something like a BTEC, OCR, AQUA. These are all the names of awarding bodies that award lots of different qualifications, as I said, like childcare or health and social care. There's also the new T level, technical level, and this is like a foundation level in preparation for the full T level. I'll go on to mention more about those later. And if you have a level 1, you could think about going on to an intermediate apprenticeship, so that's in a workplace. But if you get 5 GCSEs grade 4 to 9, you'll have a level 2 qualification, and then you could think about a level 3 qualification next. So A-levels, we probably know quite a lot about those. On the vocational pathway, it'll be these vocational qualifications related to a job area, and the new T levels, which we'll talk about in a minute. And if you're going into an apprenticeship, quite likely you'd go in at the advanced apprenticeship level. Then level 4 is above that. This is the equivalent to the first year of a degree course, but you can see that there are options in the vocational pathway and the work-based pathway. Level 5 is the second year of a degree, and level 6 is where you get a degree, and you can see you can get that from every pathway. Sometimes it takes a bit longer through the higher apprenticeship pathway, but when you get to level 6, that's when you get a degree. But what we're focusing in on today is this progression from level 1 to 2 or 2 to 3. So here's a quiz question for you. You don't have to shout anything out, because obviously this is recording, but just have a think. Do you think there's a degree or apprenticeship pathway, or both, to becoming a nurse? Well, the answer is both. So for many years there was a degree-only pathway, but now there's an apprenticeship pathway too. But just bear in mind, loads of universities offer nursing degrees. Some hospitals will offer the apprenticeship pathway, but sometimes they want you to be working there first, and they give their own staff an opportunity to get into nursing through that route because they kind of have been working with you. You've been doing some role within that hospital environment. But there certainly are those two pathways. Dentistry. Well, this still just has that very much a one pathway. So if you want to be a dentist, you have to do a degree. I mean, there are other jobs to do with dentistry, like dental assistant, where you don't need a degree. You might be able to get in through other pathways. But if you want to be a full-blown dentist, it's degree only. And then solicitor. Well, there are more and more opportunities now to do this through the apprenticeship pathway. It can take longer than doing it through the degree pathway, but there's certainly lots of opportunities coming up to become a solicitor over time through that apprenticeship route. So what you need to know when you're talking to a young person, or they've got particular interest and they're saying, I'd like to do an apprenticeship, you need to know, is there an apprenticeship that leads to that particular job? And on Careerpilot, in the apprenticeship section, we've got this little A to Z tool where you can actually put in the job that you're interested in and just see whether there is even an apprenticeship. You still need to find a vacancy, just like finding a job, but at least you'll know that that is an option. But to be honest, if you go to any of those job profiles in Careerpilot, that is also a way to find out if there is an apprenticeship or a degree pathway into those particular job areas. Just be aware with apprenticeships that they can be a bit competitive. It does depend a bit on which level of apprenticeship you're going for, and that's because any age of person can apply. So just if you're going to do that, you need to market yourself well and be prepared to go through a rigorous process of selection, especially for the higher level apprenticeships. So basically, if you're a year 11 student, you've got three options. You can either stay at sixth form, if your school's got a sixth form, or move to a sixth form, or go to a sixth form college. Or you could go to a further education college, and you probably know the one that's near to you. There's usually one in just about every part of the country. And then the third alternative is that you go into work and you get trained and you're on an apprenticeship scheme. So we're just going to drill down to these three things. So if you were thinking about sixth form, then this will be on offer to you. You could do academic qualifications. We'll all have heard of A-levels. An AS level is equivalent to like 1 year of an A-level, just about. A lot of schools are not doing those now so much. They're doing the full A-level, but it's always, you have to always ask your schools to find out what their offer is, because every school is different. So A-levels, extended project qualifications is usually on offer, and what that is the students choose a topic, they do research, they write a report, and when it's marked they'll get points towards university progression, just like with their A-levels. Another thing that a lot of schools are offering now is level 3 core maths. So it's not as hard as doing a maths A-level. It's much more practical than the maths A-level, but a lot of universities are really keen on it, especially if you're thinking of doing psychology, sociology, something that subject to university is going to use a lot of statistical analysis. So, a lot of universities feel like core maths would really help you when you progress onto those courses. So have a look and see what your school offers. Now, some schools will also offer some vocational qualifications. So we've mentioned some of these names of qualifications before. In the school environment, they might offer sports leadership, or business, or health and social care, and you could do those alongside your A-levels. So you might do one A-level and one vocational qualification. More of that in a minute. So the other things, if you're going to sixth form, there'll be extracurricular things as well, as I've mentioned here. So let's drill down a bit to A-levels. You probably know some of this already. You'll probably start with 3, or maybe start with 4 and then drop down to 3. That's often a common way of doing things. Some people keep all 4. Extended project qualification, as I've mentioned, EPQ, which will earn points towards university, just like at A-levels. And then at the end of that, a common route is to go on to university, but you could also go on to an apprenticeship or into work. So you will know in this country, you have to stay in education training till you're 18. But now, after after A levels, you could go on straight into work, and there are school leaver opportunities that are being offered by some companies. So we probably know already the entry requirements for an A levels are usually 5 GCSEs, grade 4 and above, including English and maths. Higher grades might be required in specific subjects. Some schools, because maths is quite a challenging subject, sometimes they would require you to have a grade 7 at GCSE before you'd be able to take it. And psychology is a new A-level subject. It's not really available at GCSE level, so you might be expected to have a grade 5 at science GCSE as an entry to psychology. But do check with your schools, because it is different in every school. So if you were to do a vocational qualification in sixth form, these would be called applied general qualifications. So applied to a work area, but still quite general. So it's not training you to do a job, it's training you to understand about that sector. So again, the names BTEC you will have heard of, maybe Cambridge Nationals, OCR, AQA. These are just awarding bodies, and then they offer a range of things, and the schools decide which of those they want to offer. Some will offer a lot, some will offer not very many. They can be equivalent to 1 or 2 A levels, and it is worth checking whether they are, especially if you're thinking about university later. You need to know those sort of things. They can be taken combined with an A level. Often they are. You'll do 1 or 2 A levels and a vocational qualification, or 1 A level and a vocational qualification equivalent to 2 A levels. You could go into an apprenticeship with this vocational qualification, into work, or into universities. So lots of universities will accept vocational qualifications and the points that are awarded as a result of the grades you get towards a university course. But do check, because not all universities will do that. So it is worth checking that out. But there are loads of opportunities. Don't be put off. There are loads of courses that will accept vocational qualifications as an entry to university. So let's look at a college environment now. So that's really what you get in sixth form. Let's talk about the college environment. So they too will offer these applied general qualifications. Probably have a bigger offer than is available in the school. And again, they'll be equivalent to 1, 2, and sometimes even 3 A levels. But they will also offer practical technical qualifications. So this is where you're going to be trained to do a particular job, and you need to develop the practical technical skills. So hairdressing or plumbing, those sort of things are often on offer in a college, and they'll have workshops and salons and simulations to help you see what it's like to do that in a real work situation. Then they'll also have T levels. Now these are fairly new qualifications, technical levels, and when we look at the qualification ladder, we could see that the pre-T level is level 2 and the full T level is level 3. I'm going to explain these a bit more in a minute. And then another thing that colleges offer to young people are traineeships. And these are really for 16 to 24-year-olds who really haven't got much work experience and really need to build up their work skills and maybe build up their English and math skills. So it's a sort of preparation course for maybe going on to an apprenticeship or a T level later. So let's drill down a bit to T levels, because they're fairly new. So the way they work is about 80% of the time will be in the classroom, like in a college, and about 20% time will be in the workplace, which is almost exactly opposite to the apprenticeship, because the apprenticeship will be about 80% of time in the workplace and about 20% of time in the classroom, in a college or a training provider environment. So T levels were created by business to fill the gaps they perceive in what they need, people specific job roles. And that's the key thing you need to think about with T levels. They are training you to do a specific job. So you need to know as a young person that that is the sort of job you fancy doing. They are 2 years long and they're equivalent to 3 A levels. So you can see they're quite meaty qualifications. There, you will also get about 45 to 60 days of work experience, work placements alongside the coursework and the course time in a college. You'll have, they'll be assessed through exams, coursework and some practicals, and then you get a grading, and they will carry points, UCAS points they're called. UCAS is the organisation where you apply for university, and they've got a tariff with a set of points for different qualifications, and some universities will say we want somebody with this many points, and they might come from your different qualifications and maybe your EPQ as well. So once you've done T-level, you could go on to an apprenticeship, maybe one of the higher levels. You could go into work, or again you could go on to university. But again, you have to check which university course you want to go on to and see if they accept points from T-levels. There will be lots that do, but some won't. So T-levels are currently available to study in these sectors, but within each of these sectors there'll be a set of job roles that T-level is training you to do. So you do need to know that that is a job you want to do, and you also need to find out whether your college is offering the things you want, because not all colleges will offer all T-levels. If T-level seems interesting to you, I would look at what the college offer and see if that would give you what you want. And there might be another college you can travel to which have a different offer. There are plans to have even more sectors coming on board, and besides, underneath each of these will be about 3 or 4 different job roles, so it could be quite a big thing. And going forward, they're looking at other sectors as well. I mentioned earlier that there's a preparation program for T-levels. So if you're a young person fancies the idea of T-levels, but they need to get more kind of experience of work, like be more ready for work and beef up their academic skills so they can go into a T-level, because bear in mind they are equivalent to 3 A-levels. Or if they need help to get their maths and English up to the right level, then they could do a transition year at a college, which is like a pre-T-level year. And that'll be mainly in the classroom then. And that would take you onto your T-level. So another option, and the college offers apprenticeships too, or can support you to get an apprenticeship. So definitely look at what the college are saying about that too. But apprenticeships are like jobs. You do have to find a vacancy, but the college can help you with that as well. So apprenticeships available in these levels. The great thing about them, you will get a bit of money because you'll be employed by that company as a trainee. So for the duration of the training, you will get at least £5.28 an hour. But lots of employers put a bit more into that pot, so you can sometimes get more than that. But that would be the basic, that would be the minimum. Will be learning on the job, so all the people working with you will be experiencing that job, and they'll be showing you their skills so that you can see how to do that job. So just like the T-levels, you are being trained to do a job, so you do need to know that that job is of interest to you, and you want to go on to do that in the future. You do need to find one, like finding a job, so there will be vacancies, and on Careerpilot we have an apprenticeship vacancy search, but we also show you how you can look for apprenticeships through the government website. So go to Careerpilot, look at the apprenticeship section, there'll be loads of information there. You do need to bear in mind that you sometimes need to start at a lower level. So imagine you come out with 3 A-levels and you want to go into an apprenticeship in aerospace or something like that. You might not have the technical knowledge. You might have the science, you might have other things, but you might not have the right technical knowledge. So you might have to go sideways to develop that, maybe start on a level 3 and then go up. So just be aware of that, really. So we talked about the qualification ladder on Careerpilot. You'll see it all presented like this at the different levels. You can look at it, click on any of these links, and then they'll give a little summary of all these different qualifications, the T-levels. And for the students who signed in, they can actually tag what they think they're going to get from their GCSEs and tag all the qualifications they think are doing, and go right up to level 8 if they want to. So in terms of that video we showed you at the beginning, use your supporters was the last thing that was mentioned in that little video, the animated video. So we're all there to support young people, so do make sure that they are using you as family members, their teachers. The school might have a careers advisor they could chat to. Careerpilot will be there to support them. So get them going back and forward into Careerpilot if they want to know more about these things, and you can do that with them as well. To wrap up then, things that to think about when choosing post-16 options: do bear in mind a free full-time education lasts until 19 years of age. So it is important to make the best decision you can when you leave school. So it is always good to think, my plan A is this, but if that doesn't work, my plan B is still a solid option. And to know that you're not going to waste a year doing a course you don't like or something you just picked up last minute. So having planning and preparation will help to avoid that. Discuss with your child what they enjoy and good at. The more you can link with what you're passionate about, the more successful you can be in the future, or more committed and motivated to complete the course. Do speak to current teachers, they know the children well, and always go to a range of open evenings to have a look at all the options. So schools and the colleges will offer open evenings. So that's a great way to think, is this where I want to be? Do I feel inspired about what the offer is? And you can apply to more than one thing. Don't feel shy about applying to the college and the school or another school and seeing what happens. Have a plan A, B and C, we would suggest. So A might be the one you really want, but just research plan B as well. So if it doesn't go to plan on results day, you can make a quick shift to your plan B and know that it still suits you well. And even have plan C as well if you can do that. Do have a look where courses could lead on to. So, not just sign up for courses, sounds quite fun or whatever. Just look at where it goes to. What is it going to offer you? What did other people go on to do after that course? Make sure it's not closing down any doors for you. And as parents, we're always trying to help our young people to be independent, resilient, and be prepared for change. This is going to be a feature of life going forward. So the more we can actually build their resilience, the stronger they'll be. We're almost at the end of the presentation, but just to say, we'll also have on Careerpilot to help you as parents a parent zone. So this is where you can actually choose a particular sector or section, like choices 16, and then you'll get answers to questions. So some of those I've covered in this webinar, but there's lots of information there if you want to look into that and see if you can get an answer to something that's maybe you'd like to know more about. And if you feel like inspired by seeing Careerpilot and how it can help young people, if you're now thinking, I'd like to get back into learning or change my career, and the good news is there's a similar site for adults, and that's called Life-Pilot, life-pilot.co.uk, and that's all about helping adults to get back into learning for career change, or because you haven't had many qualifications in the past and you want to build them up, and it'll show you how you can actually go about that. So do have a little look at Life-Pilot if you get a chance. Hopefully you now know all the different pathways your young person can choose, and you've got a little bit of detail about what to expect from each of those pathways. So good luck with supporting your child to make their post-Year 11 choices. Thank you for listening.